Gaji-hoon, the young boy, called forth his skeletal minions, their numbers fewer than those of other dark sorcerers. Ian quickly discerned that these were no ordinary skeletons, and Gaji-hoon must possess a concealed class, making his moves difficult to anticipate. Ian began to rue not observing more dark mages in action. Jae-in also applied a 20% debuff to Ian's speed, thwarting his usual tactic of launching a powerful initial assault. Ian instructed Slab and Lai to target Jae-in while he utilized spirit mana to immobilize the skeletons. The plan succeeded, but Jae-in remained stationary. The battle raged on with intensity until Jae-in wielded magic to redirect Lai's attack back at him. Ian had no option but to unsummon Lai for protection. Both Ian and Jae-in were aware that Lai's vitality was subpar. Ian now had to engage in combat without Lai, forcing him into a primarily defensive stance. This marked the first occasion when Ian encountered a foe who outmaneuvered him in terms of battle strategy. Every move Ian made was countered by Jae-in. The two main characters found themselves captivated by the unfolding match. Suddenly, to everyone's bewilderment, Ian unsummoned Slab, leaving himself alone on the stage. What could be going through Ian's mind? Why had he dismissed Slab and Lai, leaving no familiars with offensive capabilities? The young mage believed Ian was conceding defeat and graciously accepted the surrender. However, the situation wasn't so straightforward. Ian still had one more summon, Pug Buggy, and managed to enrage the young mage while he was preoccupied attacking the turtle. Ian retreated to a distance, but the dark magician didn't let him escape unnoticed. In reality, Ian had cunningly laid a trap. He employed space distortion to swap positions with Pug Puggy, and to the young mage's astonishment, Ian materialized right before him, gently knocking him down. Fortuitously, the young mage was still within the arena's safe zone, but before he could rise, Ian struck again, sending him tumbling out of the combat zone and securing his defeat. Even without his wolf, Ian emerged victorious, demonstrating remarkable prowess in the final match as anticipated. He faced Rimlong, an assassin with the power of invisibility. Rimlong had reached the finals using only basic magic, while Ian's abilities had been exposed during the competition, leaving them feeling uneasy. The world was now split in two, with half the spectators cheering for the summoner Ian and the other half backing the assassin Rimlong. Though surprised that Rimlong didn't employ his invisibility skill, Ian continued to confidently analyze his opponent's moves. Ian commanded Slab to assault Rimlong and managed to catch him, but Rimlong utilized his shadow abilities to evade capture. It seemed that Rimlong also belonged to a hidden class associated with shadows. As the battle raged on, Ian persistently attacked, but Rimlong deftly parried each strike with his shadows. Ultimately, Ian forced Rimlong into midair and launched an attack, believing it would inflict injury. However, Rimlong dodged once more. While Ian reeled from the shock, Rimlong unleashed a powerful assault, causing significant damage. Ian sustained continuous harm but eventually spotted an opportunity to counterattack, striking Rimlong with the occurrence sphere. The tide of the battle had turned once more, evening the odds. Ian chose to act as bait, allowing Lai to seize an opportunity to strike. Just as they were about to succeed, Rimlong activated his invisibility skills. Guided by his instincts, Ian placed a current sphere on Rimlong from behind, even as he himself was stabbed. Pug Puggy's defense assisted Ian, and Rimlong was ensnared, falling into a paralyzed state, which reduced his speed by 30%. Nevertheless, Rimlong didn't disregard the attacks Ian landed, and his health dwindled rapidly, forcing him to resort to first aid. Despite the considerable disparity in health, Ian refused to concede, gambling on his final move. As Rimlong swooped into attack, Ian swiftly employed space distortion to swap places with Lai. Instantly, Lai assumed Ian's position and inflicted critical damage on Rimlong. The assaults made Rimlong suffer, drawing blood. Ian merely had to bide his time as Lai's attack took effect, and Rimlong would perish due to his diminishing health. However, evading Rimlong's attack range proved difficult for Ian, as Rimlong remained relentless in his pursuit. The victor would be determined after the climactic final strike. Could Ian evade Rimlong's shadowy attack? The daggers hurtled toward Ian, inflicting over 1,000 points of damage. With his health now below 5%, Ian was removed from the arena. As a result, Rimlong emerged as the champion, with Ian taking second place and receiving his rewards. Ian was pleased to find the summoner's shining spirit, capable of restoring spirit mana. The other reward was a bow that enhanced spirit mana recovery and cooldown reduction. Although Ian had acquired a new weapon, he couldn't wield both the knuckle and bow simultaneously. He opted to designate the bow as his primary weapon, examining his stats and the progress of his evolving familiars. Everything appeared to be on track, leaving Ian highly satisfied until he recalled the wager with his professor. Achieving level 93 before the new semester seemed impossible. Nevertheless, Ian embarked on a relentless quest to gather experience points, rapidly advancing to level 62 in one go. He then headed to the Port Mountains to complete the big great quest assigned by Oakley. After lunch, Ian discovered information on a forum about a recently uncovered lava witch dungeon, intrigued by the witch's formidable power. Determined to acquire the lava witch as a familiar, Ian ventured to the Port Mountains, a region dominated by bandits. This area used to be a favorite hunting spot for him. Upon arrival, Ian promptly summoned Slab and devised an ambush plan for the Guardian. Opting to employ electrical manipulation, which was more compatible with his new bow, and its paralysis effect, Ian prepared for action. To bypass the bandit guards, he needed to act swiftly. The electrical manipulation attacks successfully dealt damage and impeded the guards due to the paralysis effect. Concurrently, he ordered Lai to bite another guard. Observing the commotion, the tower guard sounded the alarm bell, summoning reinforcements and readying for battle. As the troops arrived, Ian revealed himself as a distraction and fled with his summons to a prearranged location. There, Slab lay in wait behind a large rock, poised to ambush the enemy. As anticipated, Slab struck, dealing a critical blow to the bandit leader. Lai, now more powerful, managed to inflict triple-digit damage through bleeding effects. Enemies perished within 4 to 5 seconds of being bitten. After vanquishing the bandits, Ian gained a 5-second reduction in cooldown time for his abilities. Unexpectedly, a group of high-level sorcerers materialized. What were they doing there? Although they were more powerful than Ian, he remained undaunted. The sorcerers unleashed their fire magic on Slab, inflicting significant damage due to his ice-based nature. Ian considered retreating to safeguard Slab, but with his experience at 99.7%, he realized that this was Slab's opportunity to level up. Instead, Ian directed Lai to shield Slab. The strategy worked, and Slab advanced to level 65. But the progress didn't stop there. Slab evolved, transforming into an abyss. Slab's successful evolution brought considerable benefits to Ian, upgrading his intermediate training to advanced training. Naturally, Ian was ecstatic. As the battle raged on, he took great pleasure in witnessing the remarkable growth of Slab's power, which far exceeded his expectations. Slab effortlessly vanquished the sorcerers that had previously been challenging opponents. Examining his status window, Ian realized that Slab had reached its evolutionary limit and could not progress further, unlike Lai, who could still evolve after the first transformation. Undeterred, Ian proceeded to ransack the bandits' warehouse as his reward. Meanwhile, in town, Heron practiced her cooking. Thinking of Ian, Heron messaged him to inquire about his activities. They exchanged messages rapidly, as Ian needed to capture Allah, an eagle-type familiar. Allah was a valuable source of items, enabling Ian to significantly boost his dexterity through his link skill. After successfully summoning Allah, Ian and his summons continued hunting, all striving to reach level 93 before the new semester began. In the heart of the Port Mountains, the bandits trembled at the sight of Ian. Upon arrival, he ordered Slab to employ the Abyss Hole attack. The effectiveness of his knuckles seemed to have improved after activating Abyss Hole, as he could now wield 2 electric spheres simultaneously when using the knuckles. It was time for horde hunting, so Ian switched to a bow, as long-range attacks were more effective in such situations. The captain of the Port Mountains bandits, now level 80, appeared before Ian. Previously, before Ian reset his character, the captain was only level 75. He had leveled up rapidly and switched to a bow. Ian intended to use his link skill to boost his dexterity, but he noticed that long-range enemies had less health, so he decided to handle them himself. Ian instructed Lai and Slab to attack, but the captain revealed an area of effect skill typically reserved for tank-type boss monsters. The bandit members charged at Ian and his familiars. Lai was particularly agile in the battle, wounding numerous warriors. The bandit captain aimed his bow at Lai, but Ian intervened. Seizing the opportunity, Lai closed in on the captain and dealt considerable damage. However, the captain retaliated, striking Lai with his poleaxe and inflicting 6,000 points of damage in a single blow. Seeing Lai in peril, Ian ordered Slab to throw him into the fray. Naturally, Slab was quite perplexed, but he complied with Ian's command. Fortunately, Ian arrived in time to face the captain head-on. They aimed their bows at each other, and in an instant, 2 arrows were released. Although Ian managed to dodge, he still sustained injuries. Meanwhile, he switched to the ancient knuckles, activated them, and harnessed Slab's Abyss Hole. The battle concluded with Ian emerging victorious. The bandit members sought revenge on Ian for defeating their captain, but he borrowed Allah's agility and escaped effortlessly. Later, Ian met Heron and another friend at the Murren auction house, as Heron needed to purchase cooking ingredients nearby. Most members of the Lotus Guild had surpassed level 100, indicating that the monsters outside were becoming increasingly formidable. Though Ian was currently at level 69, he intended to catch up with the others soon. He had asked Heron about meatballs, as he had run out of them. It was the first time Heron met Pug Puggy. Initially, Pug Puggy was quite wary, but after being fed a meatball made with an improved recipe, he became enamored with Heron and loved the treat. A single meatball seemed insufficient, and the turtle craved more, but Ian didn't want to spoil him. The turtle eventually acquiesced. They carried on with their hunting to level up as swiftly as possible, eventually arriving at a lava castle in the Scorching Earth region. There, they encountered numerous lava spawns and even a lava witch. Ian had to remain vigilant because he needed to reach the dungeon's lowest level quickly to acquire the lava witch. Rare monsters inhabited the lower floors of the dungeon. The lava spawns attempted to stop Ian and his familiars from quickly reaching the final floor and securing his new familiar. Employing an agile combat strategy, Ian's team swiftly overcame these spawns. As they descended and encountered more spawns, Ian noticed the lava spawn's colors darkening. On the 10th floor, he confronted a contaminated lava witch, which proved somewhat challenging. Glancing around, Ian discovered a door with a nameplate that read Origin of Fire. Upon entering, he saw a scorching lava fall and came face to face with a colossal fire monster. Ian's prediction proved accurate. Only summoners could undertake this hidden quest. The monster introduced himself and informed Ian of his mission to purify the origin of lava and address related issues. Agreeing to the task, Ian listened as the fire giant, Hyan, requested that he capture at least 20 contaminated lava witches. To aid in the task, Hyan provided Ian with a sealing stone. In 3 hours, Ian successfully captured 31 witches, much to Hyan's satisfaction. Meanwhile, in the distant castle, the king inquired about Ian's progress on the hatching egg mission. The egg held great significance to the royal family. The king ordered his trusted servant to locate Ian and bring him back after 2 months if he hadn't made any progress. Ian had been outside the mountain for over 24 hours, working on the Guardian Lava's collection mission, which required gathering 35 roots of red moss. Only by completing this task could he fulfill the conditions for finishing the quest. As Ian was deep in thought, an earthquake occurred, and a lava fall changed its color from red to blue. The system announced that he had successfully cleansed the origin of lava. Hyan, the Guardian, gave Ian the Stone of Lava Sealing, which contained one of the Guardian's lava essences. It was the best item for Ian. Inside the stone was a lava drake king and a hero-ranked monster. Although it had a limit since it couldn't evolve, it was perfect for Ian because he was in a hurry to level up for school. Ian's friend tried to contact him, as today was the first day students returned to class. Unable to reach Ian, his friend grew concerned that he might have collapsed inside the game capsule. He decided to visit Ian if he didn't show up after their lecture. Meanwhile, in the game, Ian had reached level 89 and was hunting and leveling up fervently. He received a skill and hoped it would be something related to helping him level up. Ian acquired 2 skills, Link, which allowed him to connect 2 of his familiars to share health, and Synchronize, which allowed him to share his stats with his familiars. Ian immediately tried Synchronize with Pug Puggy, the one with the most abnormal stats. By sharing Pug Puggy's stats, Ian's defense rose to over 15-0, but his strength and dexterity dropped significantly. The status window also displayed Ian as a turtle, so he immediately cancelled the skill. Back at school, Ian's friend anxiously awaited his arrival. Heron and Huon discussed their concerns about Ian, but neither of them could get in touch with him. Meanwhile, Ian was completely absorbed in leveling up on another battlefield. Gaihode, the Dark Magician, was also training hard. Having reached level 85, he vowed to exact revenge on Ian. June even created an Ian doll to vent his hatred, a classic case of 8th grade syndrome. Back at Korean University, Professor Lee was taking attendance. Just as the professor was about to mark Ian as absent, he appeared at the door, narrowly avoiding the penalty. Ian entered the class and proudly showed a photo of his level 93 in the game to the professor, much to everyone's astonishment. The fact that he had reset his character recently and had already reached level 93 was impressive. His friends were amazed, and even the professor and a passing primary student could not believe that he had achieved level 93 before the school semester started. It was truly extraordinary for a summoner to reach such a level, and Ian's dedication to the game had certainly paid off. In the latest official news, the maximum summoner level reported is 78. The professor, intrigued by this, decided to gather data from Ian and scheduled a meeting within the game. Ian opted to undertake the Dimensional Magic Tower quest first. The tower appeared abandoned, which made sense, considering few players could reach this advanced level. As they ventured further, they discovered a portal that led to a higher floor, where another portal awaited to transport them even further. It seemed unlikely that there would be no challenges standing between them and the top floor. Suddenly, a group of trolls materialized, leaving them puzzled as to why trolls would appear in such a place. Ian's familiars swiftly defeated the trolls, allowing him to ascend to the highest floor. Upon arrival, Ian encountered a woman who referred to him as a customer. He introduced himself and explained his visit at the behest of Oakley, the fabled dragon trainer. They sat down for a conversation. To awaken the divine dragon spirit, the dimensional sorcerer to complete a quest tasked Ian. He had to gather 6 fragments of an ancient artifact within a 3-day period. The sorcerer bestowed upon him a magical item that would enable him to identify the relic pieces. She then opened a portal, transporting him to the subterranean lair of the ancient Noble Empire ruins. There, he needed to hunt the souls of tomb raiders and retrieve the relic pieces from the depths of the dungeon. Ian and Lai embarked on their search. In just 2 days, Ian managed to collect 5 of the 6 relic pieces. However, his efforts to find the last piece were met with frustration as he kept acquiring duplicates of the ones he already possessed. As he continued his final search, Ian encountered an unusual creature, a level 95 hero-ranked ancient summoner soul. Unable to resist the allure of obtaining another hero-ranked familiar, Ian pursued the ancient soul even though time was running out for his quest. The ancient soul called forth a horde of formidable familiars in an attempt to locate a heroic tier monster. Upon discovering Ian, the soul commanded its monsters to attack him. Ian recognized that the heroic tier monster was actually a low-level ghost monster. However, as a summoner, attacking such a creature would not be a simple task. With that in mind, Ian summoned his own familiars and meticulously devised a strategy, assigning specific roles to each of his creatures. As they engaged in combat, one of the enemy monsters launched a surprise attack from behind. Anticipating this move, Ian swiftly employed the tortoiseshell to shield himself. Caught in the protective shell, the monster lost nearly all its teeth and let out a pained cry. In a moment of distraction, Ian seized the opportunity to use his bow and arrow, landing a powerful shot that vanquished the monster. With the enemy creature defeated, Ian claimed victory and instructed Lai to advance and strike the heroic tier ghost monster. Upon defeating it, Ian gathered the items it dropped and examined them. Suddenly, Ian realized that something was amiss. Recalling that he was running out of time to complete his quest, he hurriedly proceeded with Lai to capture the monster required for the mission. Along the way, he grumbled about the difficulties of gathering the items he had obtained. Ian reflected on how fortunate he was to have completed the quest, acknowledging that he might not have succeeded if luck hadn't been on his side. With only 3 minutes remaining before the mission's deadline, he accomplished the task by a hair's breadth. Relieved, Ian returned to Griper, bearing the ancient relic items he had been asked to collect. Nevertheless, due to the immense effort expended on the task, Ian was thoroughly drained. He decided to rest for a while to recover his energy. Upon waking, Ian found that Griper had crafted the magic equipment from the items he had retrieved from the ancient relic. Eagerly, Ian inquired if Griper could now use the magic to revive the dragon god's soul stone, although he understood it wouldn't be easy. Griper, however, declared it impossible, as she couldn't guarantee the equipment would function correctly. The risk was too great, as it could potentially destroy the soul stone. Instead, the dimensional sorcerer suggested testing the magic on the soul stones of other ancient monsters before attempting to use it on Ian's dragon god's soul stone. Following this discussion, Ian went to meet his professor, who escorted him on a tour of his monster breeding center. Ian then requested the professor to collect the remaining monsters for him. In response, the professor unexpectedly summoned his own creatures and urged Ian to do the same. Ian hastily summoned Lai, but the professor chuckled, revealing that he only wanted to witness Ian's summoning abilities. Chiding Ian for not attending his lectures during the allotted times, the professor requested Ian's assistance in gathering the missing monsters. In exchange, he offered Ian access to the monster breeding center. Not content with the offer, Ian added a condition: the professor must construct a summoned breeding center near Ian's guild base. The professor consented to the arrangement. Ian and Lai then ventured into the dungeon to complete their mission. Before entering, Ian registered his current summons. Together with his summons, they delved into the dungeon to collect monsters and fulfill their objective. Noticing that his summons were on the verge of evolving, Ian encouraged them all to engage in battle. Suddenly, the system announced that Jag's spirit had reached its full potential, evolving from a low-class to a mid-class spirit. With this evolution, Jag acquired new abilities. Excited, Ian tested Jag's newfound strength and discovered an inherent capability. Eager to harness this power, Ian decided to vanquish the monsters blocking their path. Upon triumphing over the dungeon, Ian amassed numerous soul stone fragments, much to Griper's delight. Grateful for Ian's efforts, she expressed her confidence in Oakley's decision to send him her way. Griper then guided Ian to witness the soul stone restoration process. Successfully completed, the process yielded an ancient monster, Lops, for Ian. They continued their efforts to restore more soul stones and ultimately succeeded in reviving an ancient hero-class monster named Harleyan. Griper entrusted the Harleyan Stone of Sealing to Ian, confident in his abilities. Ian accepted the responsibility and summoned Harleyan, bestowing upon it the name Harley. The creature appeared to be fond of its new moniker. Their next objective was to retrieve the soul stone of the divine dragon. Ian eagerly anticipated the recovery of the stone, knowing that it would make him the first player to summon a monster of such a lofty rank in the Caitlin field. At last, Griper managed to restore the divine egg. However, in a moment of carelessness, Griper dropped the egg. Fortunately, its sturdy shell prevented it from cracking. Ian inquired about the process of reviving the eggs, but Griper admitted her uncertainty. Instead, she opened a dimensional door that would lead Ian to the soul of a person who could provide the answers he sought. With Griper's guidance, Ian set off to meet this mysterious individual. Griper proposed a favor to Ian, promising that the task would yield considerable rewards and opportunities. Ian eagerly accepted the proposal. While Norman Heron was gathering materials, a monster suddenly appeared and attacked. Just then, Dwayne, Heron's younger brother, came to the scene. Dwayne swiftly defeated the monster and saved Heron.